Okay, I'm going to call to order this 7 o'clock hearing of the Milton Board of Appeals. My name is Jeffrey Mullen. I'll be acting as the chairman for tonight's hearing. With me are Brian Conley and Michael Brown, members of the Board of Appeals. I see that Matthew Matt?
Zoller.
Zala, is the applicant is with us. He has submitted to the board an application for two applications. One requesting an addition to be constructed at a distance of 9.6 feet from the right sideline. When 10 feet is normally required, the addition will be for the expansion of the family's kitchen. And the second application is requesting a new garage to be constructed at a distance of 2.6 feet from the right sideline lot line when 10 feet is normally required, and 2.3 feet from the rear lot line when 30 feet are normally required. The new garage will be used for storage and will have a home office above. The current garage cannot accommodate the storage of cars, and the growing family needs more space. Procedurally, this matter was before our administrator, Ginny King, who referred it to the full board, given the matter in front of us. So what we've got, and the board is pleased to hear the applications. I'm just going to read for the record what we have in the file, and I'm going to ask the applicant to make a presentation, and we'll have a discussion. The board can ask questions, and we'll deliberate the matter. In the file is the request for the existing modification, that is with respect to the addition to be constructed. There's a letter from Joseph Atchu, the building commissioner, denying Mr. Zala's and Mr. and Mrs. Zala's application, along with letters of support. One letter from Christian and Christy Falco, who live at 317 Elliott Street. One letter from Tanya Gray, who lives at 6 Valley Road Extension, and one from Daniel Walsh, who lives at 309 Elliott Street. Also included, let me just, I'm not going to read I'm not going to read the letters, but they all are substantially the same content, and they express support for the variances that have been requested by the applicants with respect to both pieces of the application. There's also been submitted a site plan indicating the extent of the improvements, both the addition to the existing dwelling and the modification, the construction of the new garage, along with a set of drawings entitled 313 Elliott Street Addition, which the applicant has submitted several sheets, half a dozen sheets, perspectives, photographs, all the types of documents you would see to provide the board with a reasonable idea of what's being proposed by the applicant. So we thank you for all that. I believe Mr. Zala has also provided the board with a photograph showing, in general sense, how the modifications line up with similarly situated improvements in the neighborhood, and we thank you for that. Unless I'm correct, I mean, we do all this work electronically now. So we used to have, not to go down memory lane, but we used to have these jackets, and then in the jacket, I just have to open up the folder and I could read all the folders. So I just want to verify that I have accurately set forth what we've been presented with and what the written record we've got in front of us. Hearing no objection, that is the written record. Mr. Zala, welcome to the Board of Appeals. How can we help you tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the time today, and I
You're welcome.
appreciate the service that you all provide the town. I'm happy to be here. This is the third time I've been before this board. For the record, two previous projects needed relief. One was an improvement to our rear screened-in porch, and we added a mudroom. And the second time was for a third-story addition living space. We've been in Milton for 15 years, and we love Milton and we want to stay here. As I put in the application, we have a growing family, 2 children in Milton Public Schools. My son just moved on to the middle school this year. Excited about that. My daughter's going into 2nd grade at Glover. And so the issue is that we we basically added this extra story and then we have no storage space. And so my wife and I share an office, and you can see her chair is behind me. We both work from home. I work for myself. And so, and she works for a company, but she's fully remote. So the request is, as the chairman has presented, I have some slides. I can walk you through it. Is that helpful if I do that?
I think so. Yeah, I think, I mean, unless the board object, unless the members object,
Right.
I think
Yeah.
that would be helpful.
Great. So bear with me, we should be aces at the technology now, but it's always something. So, okay. So as the chairman described, I have letters of support from all of my abutting neighbors. Those were the ones that were described. And also I should mention, I have a fourth letter of support from April Anderson, who lives up the street on Elliott. And I think that I gave this to the administrator, but if not, I can certainly provide it for the record. But it's simply another support letter. So,
All right, we'll just stop you there, Matt. Bill, if you could just at some point add or after the hearing, just confirm that we've got that in our file, but there's let's just take a look at it. So this is Ms. Anderson indicating support for the application?
correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Sure. And so going back to the application, this is the documentation. I did provide a updated survey as well, which was not part of this package. And I just want to highlight that first before I jump into the package, because the building commissioner asked that we show the improvements on a certified plot plan so the dimensionality could be put into the record by the registered surveyor. So that's what this is. And the gray shows proposed improvements overlaid over either nothing or, the existing garage. So I just wanted to point out the addition that we're planning squares off the house, and then the larger garage that is at the back of the property.
Matt, is that dated May 21?
I believe.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we do have that. Yeah,
Great.
that was attached to the application.
Great. And so cover sheet with zoning information prepared by the architect, not the registered surveyor. Here is the existing conditions survey, just for the record. And so this was prepared some time ago, but this was the basis for the application, or the initial, determination of whether or not this made sense. And then I also included these two vignettes to show you the location on a locus map on Elliott Street, so you can see right where we are. The abutting properties that provided support letters are here. This is Mr. Walsh, the Falco residence, and Miss Gray, who's behind us. And so they're shown here again on the assessor's map. And then the reason I also wanted to show this is because you could see that the area behind our home, and also the area Mr. Walsh has down below, slopes off quite drastically down to the trolley. So there is a significant grade change that happens behind our parcel, and it's not buildable, is my purpose of showing that. And I just wanted to point that out for the board. Continuing through the presentation.
Matt, I'm
Yes.
sorry to interrupt you, but just before we leave that graphic, just to orient everybody, you've provided the board with letters from each of the three adjoining property owners, that is to the left, to the rear, and to the right.
Yes, sir.
And then Ms. Anderson, I believe her house is 2 doors down right at the
Yes.
corner of Valley Road Extension, just for proximity purposes.
Correct.
Yep, okay, thank you.
Yes, and I know Mr. Richmond and Ms. Falls as well. They are my other abutters. I do not have letters from them, but I'm sure they would be supportive of the request. So
Okay,
happy to offer that as well. So continuing through, some architectural drawings that are not really relevant, but just to give you a sense, this is actually images of our current property to just show you the front, the back, the back again, the side area, this is where the addition for the kitchen will go. And then the existing garage, that's what these photos represent. And then a couple of massing type drawings to show the existing and then proposed. And so it's tough to gauge these sometimes, but I wanted to give everybody a little bit of perspective. The proposal is keeping within the existing character of the neighborhood, where the addition will fit uniformly into the house as it's currently designed. So just kind of squaring off the rest of the home. And then the garage will replace the existing garage. It'll actually take up the open space to the right of the existing garage, because the existing garage cannot accommodate 2 cars. It can barely accommodate 1. So this will be a garage that can actually be utilized for storage of vehicles and things that we accumulate, bikes, all the various and sundries that you have as a family, skis, whatever, play equipment. And then up above, as described, is another proposed home office to separate myself and my wife, to give us a little bit of breathing room. So that is the components of the new building to the rear of the property. And then here is a drawing that shows the addition, the kitchen build out. So creating a larger living and eating space for our family. And then the garage, the ground floor of the garage, the second story of the garage, and then the roof plan of the garage. So 2 dormers at the front to keep in with the neighborhood character again, and then a shed dormer along the back to allow for quite a bit of usable space here on the second story. And then a full bathroom here is also being proposed. And so a couple more shots of the existing condition versus what's being proposed. And then an axiometric aerial. The red line is the property boundary. The black line is the existing footprint of the home and the garage, and the blue line is the proposed improvements to the property. So you can see that here. And then some elevations of the garage, and that's the top 4 vignettes, sides, front, back. And then the addition to the kitchen is shown here. This is the side of the house where it'll meet the existing mudroom and screened-in porch, and then the back of the house will be more uniform, pushing the stairs around to the back of the property where they currently sit in the knuckle. And I can go back to another image if that's confusing. And then I have some images of the kind of sloped down area that I described. Those are not included for the record. I'm happy to provide them to the town. Yeah.
Well, why not?
I could stop there.
Brian lives in East Milton, so he doesn't get over to Trolley very often.
Got it. Yeah, so can you, let's see here. Let me stop the share and start a different one so I can give you those images. Hold on, just bear with me. That. And then I will share these images as well for context. So this is the proposed area where the garage will extend over to. And then I took a walk around, and it's not letting me click through the photos like I had hoped. A minute. All right, can you see that? Is that showing or no?
No.
It didn't change.
Matt, would those that a line of arborvitae in the previous photo be about where your property line is?
That's about 2 feet off of the property line.
Off
So
meaning where's the property line on the inside?
the property line is the cobblestone that you
I
see
see.
here. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And so the planter would go away, and that would be the 2 feet that's still available. We obviously have to over excavate, you know, for the footings, and then we put that back. So that would be roughly the dimensionality of the space left once the new building is erected.
And your point is the dramatic drop off in
Yeah,
grade that is experienced in this part of the neighborhood, it
yeah,
begins right at that point.
that's right. I do want to show a photo of that just because I have it, and also it helps contextually. So let me see if I can. Yeah, here we go. So this is on the other side of the planter and the arborvitae, and it'll share. Here we go. And hope to be able to click through everything, but can you guys see that?
Yes.
So the trolley is, 20 feet down from where my property is. This is the back corner of my property right here where the stone is.
Yeah.
So that my neighbor basically uses his yard up to this point, and that's it. The rest of it is all overgrown. But
And that's Mr. Walsh's property.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
So I'll stop there. If there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer them. Hopefully that was helpful.
That was very helpful from my perspective. Let me ask my colleagues if they've got any questions. Mr. Brown,
I have no questions.
Mr. Conley.
No, I guess just first a comment that appreciate your effort in talking to your neighbors. I think as the chair of the board just highlighted it, it seems like you've got the two most impacted neighbors. Obviously, on each side of you signed in favor. Every property that abuts your property, there's only three, and all three of them have signed in favor.
Yes.
And seems that there's not many. Not much in the way of other properties that would be really impacted by what you're approving here. So did any have you heard from any neighbors expressing any concerns or any opposition or any objections to your proposal?
No, sir. I've actually only heard curiosity from others that received the abutter notice, and they just simply said, "Good luck. I hope that works out." So it's been all positive.
Okay, great. And then the office above the garage, I take it you're not seeking approval to have it be an occupiable residence?
No.
Okay. That's all I have for questions. Thank you.
Thank you to my colleagues. Let me just picking up on Brian's point. That's an affirmative yes, Matt. So if, for example, the board found that they wanted to affirmatively make the note that Brian just pointed out, that is, it's not an occupiable dwelling unit, and it's really to be used in connection with the use of the existing dwelling for home office and related purposes, would be acceptable to you?
That's acceptable. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Let me ask you, with respect to the improvements themselves, so we're going to see an addition that is going to look in appearance and the same type of roof line, the same color, the same kind of boards. It's going to, when you finish, appear as if there was no addition at all.
That is the goal. Yes, sir.
And with respect to the garage, which is a nicely designed garage in my view, the same will be true. They will match. It's intended to be the same color, or certainly a companion colors. And what is your plan for that?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. The goal, and let me pull up one of the slides again so I can be clear. The fenestration of the garage will match that of the home. We do have cedar shingle on the house, and I discussed this with my neighbor as well, Mr. Walsh. We may elect for a clapboard here that's a straighter clapboard, but not the cedar shake, because cedar is extremely expensive, but it will certainly be well appointed, and the materials will be like kind. So I just want to be clear, the shingle shape may be different, but it will certainly be wood, and it will certainly look and feel like the house.
So would it be fair for the board to make a statement that the garage will be will it be a companion building to the home? Is that a fair word to use?
That's fair. Yes.
And will they be painted in a uniform, in the same color?
Yes, they will.
Is the garage, are you proposing any foundation?
It will be a slab on grade building, so no basement.
And how about modifications to the driveway? What are you proposing for that, if any?
We will have to replace the driveway. It's in pretty rough shape. But it will be again, pavement, so to speak, and maybe some decorative pavers. It's in some locations, but it will be very much the way it appears today.
When you say pavement, we're talking about asphalt?
Yes, sir.
Really get specific when we're talking
I
about.
know, well, you know that world better than anybody, Mr. Chairman.
But the curb cut on Elliott won't be widened.
No.
Yeah, okay. I don't have any other questions. Let me ask my colleagues if they've got any questions. Any further questions?
No further questions.
None for me.
All right, let me ask if there's anybody in the audience who'd like to speak in favor of the applications that we've heard. Bill, is there anybody in the audience?
No one has raised their hand.
Okay. Let me ask if there's anybody in the audience who would like to speak in opposition to the applications. Bill, I'll just give you a second on that.
No raised hands.
Okay. So we've heard the presentation by the applicant. The board's had an opportunity to question the applicant. Thank you for that. We've invited members of the general public to speak in support or in opposition. We've heard none. Unless there's an objection, I'd like to close the evidentiary portion of the hearing, and in accordance with the Commonwealth's open meeting law, move to discuss the merits of the applications in open session. Hearing no objection, let me ask my board members if they'd like to comment on the application. Mr. Conley.
Sure. Yeah, I support the application. I'm want to compliment Mr. Zoller on his effort and working with his neighbors. For the scale of the project, he's obviously designed it very thoughtfully. Like you said, it's with the dormers and the materials and the really detailed plans for a project like this. I'm sure they help their neighbors understand it. It helps us understand it. All my questions were answered, and it seems like it is consistent with the character of the neighborhood, and would be obviously a great improvement to this property and to the surrounding neighborhood.
Thank you, Mr. Conley. Mr. Brown.
Yeah, I mean, I would only echo what Mr. Connolly said. I think it's a really good plan. Again, like talking with your neighbors and getting their approval and being upfront with them. The plans obviously took a lot of work, and we appreciate that. I would support the plan as well. Support the application, rather.
I do too. I support. I like it a lot. I like the thoughtful design. I should point out, I did go out there and I'm familiar with the premises, but I went out and looked at it because it's a significant improvement. This is not a small project that Mr. Zoller and his wife are taking on. It's a significant investment in the neighborhood and in the town, which indicates a commitment to do a good job and to invest in his own property and his community. And it's dense, but the neighborhood's dense. And I think it overall, I mean, in my view, the improvements are very consistent with the overall character of the neighborhood. And I think Mr. Zoller submitted testimony and written materials that support that. So I think I'd like to add to the comments that have been made by my colleague, that specific finding that it's consistent with the overall character of the neighborhood. I'd also like to compliment the applicant on the presentation. You can tell he does this kind of work for a living, it was well presented, a terrific design, and I appreciate the opportunity to hear it and see it up front. So congratulations to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So the board, let me call for a vote. All in favor of the applications for the new garage to be built and the addition to be constructed on the premises as set forth in the application, say aye.
Aye.
So congratulations to you, Matt. The board process from here is we'll get together, we'll write a decision. We'll file it with Bill at the town. There'll be a 20-day, he'll file it with the town clerk. There'll be a 20-day appeal period. He'll be in touch with you. You take the written decision, file it in Norfolk at the Registry of Deeds in Dedham, and you'll have your variance. I'll say that you'll want to line up your contractor or contractors fairly soon. You'll have 1 year to begin work and exercise your rights under the variance, so it'll lapse.
Yes.
And that's something the town takes seriously and pays attention to.
Okay.
Other than that, we wish you luck and appreciate your interest in the community.
Thank you all for your time
Yes.
and your service, and I appreciate the compliments, and also it was a pleasure meeting you gentlemen, and Jeff, always great to see you. Thank you so much.
That's great.
All right.
Okay.
Have a great evening. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you later, Matt.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate your help.
More than welcome.
Let me ask my colleagues if anybody wants to volunteer to write that decision.
I'd be happy to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, Mike, that's terrific. Appreciate that. Bill, is there any other business we should attend to right now? Or we could be in suspension for 15 minutes and reconvene at 7:45.
I
Do you
don't,
have something else for us?
no, I don't, just the next hearing with 47 Revere Street.
Okay, all right. Objections from my colleagues to put this meeting in suspense. I'm not going to adjourn, but we'll put this meeting in suspense and we'll reconvene at 7:45 at the appointed hour. Any objection? Okay, so that's what we'll do, and Bill will tune back in. I'll keep the line open. And does that work for people?
Great.
Okay, thank you all. We'll see you in a few minutes. Bye now.
Okay, thank you.
Let me call to order our 7:45 hearing of the Board of Appeals. My name is Jeffrey Mullen. I'll be acting as the chair of the hearing. With me are my colleagues Michael Brown and Brian Conley, both members of the board. We're here on let's see, it's August 21st at 7:45 upon the application of Kasha Surratt of 47 Revere Street for a relief related to the addition of a non-heated 3-season porch and second floor office to accommodate a growing family and a work-from-home parent, not to exceed 26% of the plot for building coverage. We have in the application, we have a letter from Mr. Joseph Atchu. I'm just going to read the letter just to help frame the hearing so that everybody understands what we're hearing. What this matter is about. This office has reviewed your proposal to build an addition at the rear of the home of 47 Revere Street. The property lies in a Residence C zoning district. The home was built as a single-family home and is considered dimensionally pre-existing non-conforming. A plot plan by Gregory Bonavitz, professional land surveyor, shows that the addition would be built at a distance of 14.8 feet from the rear lot line when 30 feet are normally required as per the Milton zoning bylaw. Whereas this addition would increase the non-conforming nature of this building, you must first request and receive a finding from the Zoning Board of Appeals in the form of a special permit that this proposed change is not more detrimental to the neighborhood than what currently exists. Please contact Bill Donnelly for guidance. I'm assuming Ms. Surratt, that's what you've done, and you're here in front of the board to obtain or seek from the board the finding that's explained in Mr. Atchu's letter. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
Great. Okay. So with the application is a submittal of several sheets from Blunt Architecture of describing the property, including some plans, elevations, professionally done, several sheets, all of which are in the file and open to public inspection. I see the applicant is with us, as well as she's with her is it architect? Mr. Michael, Mr. Michael Blutt. I invite the applicant to make a presentation. How can we help you? How can we help you tonight?
Yeah, thanks so much for taking the time. The proposed addition is actually very similar. I was observing the first hearing to his rationale. I'm currently expecting, and our family is growing.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we love Milton. We've been in Milton for about 10 years now in the same residence. And I previously worked in Boston Public Schools and have recently shifted to a work from home job. So the work from home office will become a nursery. So the hope is to have the space for an addition on the first floor being the non-heated 3-season space, and then on the second floor being a home office. So I've communicated with all of our neighbors and have also submitted several letters of support from 4 of our neighbors, and any of which, 2 of which are abutting. The other abutting neighbor, our rear neighbor, I've spoken to verbally and is in support. So that's our hope. And Michael can answer any more kind of specific questions.
Maybe you just give us an idea of your current home, like what your current home is like and where. I see the elevations that are in the application, but there's no plan view, so I don't think we've got a good sense of in what relative location is the addition going to be done. So just give us an idea so we can paint ourselves a bit of a picture of what you're proposing.
Sure. So right now there's the front entrance on Revere Street, but we actually primarily use the back entrance because of the way the driveway comes alongside the house. And so the back entrance is a sliding door, which currently has some steps, probably I think maybe 6 or 7 steps going up to a very small sort of patio landing. To then enter the slider door into the main area of the house. And so the proposal would be for the addition to be there. So entering from the steps up to the 3-season porch space, and then the existing slider that's there would remain there, and that would be how you would enter the main home. And then again above that to be the work from home space, and on the second floor, I see Michael's raising his hand too. He'll probably answer this better than me.
I'm just trying to help. Can you hear me?
Do it. You do it.
Am I on? I don't know.
We can hear
Yes,
you.
Oh, you can. Okay. So I have the drawings. If you'd like me to put them up on my screen.
Yes, please. We can't see you, by the way.
Oh, you can't see me? Is there
Yeah,
something?
I have to promote you.
Oh, join as
Yes,
panelist.
Yep. You should be able to share.
Audio, video. How's that?
There you are.
Okay, good. Okay. So the drawings that you have don't show the entire first floor, just because of the scale of the drawings. Your question was about the character of the existing house. Is that correct?
I didn't see a plan view of the improvements, so I was just trying to get a relative sense of how
Okay.
the improvements were related to the current improvements.
Okay. Can I how do I share my screen? Is there a way that I can get control of that?
There should be a button on the bottom that's green that says share, and then you can.
There we go.
Thank you, Kasha, for doing my duties.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
It would be a union grievance at town hall tomorrow, Kasha.
So this shows the first and second floor plans of the house, and this is really just the back of the house where the addition is being added.
Yeah.
If I show, actually, this is the site plan of the house, and you can see from this that the footprint of the house is to the left, the left front corner of the property. The main entrance to the house is the walk at this point, and the driveway comes down the right-hand side of the property. The addition is here. It's proposed to be 9.5 feet by 12 feet. The existing porch takes up most of that as it exists now. You mentioned that the rear setback was 30 feet. It actually is modified from that by the zoning, which it cannot exceed, I think, 30% of the full depth of the property. And that brings it to 21 feet, not 30 feet.
I see, I see.
Yeah.
I was just reading the letter from the building commissioner.
Oh.
The board didn't do an independent zoning review.
Yeah.
So, we'll note that, you know, take that into consideration in our deliberation.
Okay. So in terms of the addition, the existing dining room that is on the first floor, and the kitchen are across the back. There's an existing porch that's a little bit larger than half of the size of the room that's being built. The intent is to expand this out and make this into a three-season porch. It's also going to be used as kind of a mudroom in the off season. And then part of the discussion was the project developed into also adding an office on the second floor. As Kasia said, to give them space for the office now that the current office is going to become the baby's room. Everything that's on the back that's put in the circle and the dotted line is actually the addition, including the staircase that brings you down to the driveway. The intent is to make the addition exactly in terms of the materials and finishes as the existing house. The goal is to make it look like it was always there. We're carrying detailing from the existing house, the exposed rafter tails, and the banded wash where they've kicked out the shingles, carrying that around the addition as well. From the rear, it's a portion of the back of the house. It's the same, pretty much the same size. The width is the existing porch, including the stair. They're planning on using the space underneath the first floor as bike storage and other kind of storage space. Let's see, what else? So because we're proposing to use the first floor as an unconditioned three-season porch, we're not insulating it. We're providing windows that could satisfy the current code. In case at a future date they decide they want to come back in and insulate it. But at this point, that's not part of the scope. Let's see. The second floor is fully insulated based on the current energy code, which is the stretch code. The roof plan, I mean, the rest of the stuff is really just architectural components. Roof plan, foundation, framing plans. The site plan we already talked about. The 14'9" is what the new addition is going to be off the rear of the property. 21 feet is the allowable. And then we also put together a satellite view showing the neighborhood. And understand these dimensions are close because the actual dimension for the 24 feet is 24.9, I think it said. Yeah, it's 24.4. So, but in terms of proportions, this house on the end 35, they're at 9 feet roughly. The neighbor house, they're at 14 feet, which is roughly where we're proposing to be. We're proposing to be 14.9. The next one, you know, and the one at the far right, that's at 12 feet. And then the same on the opposite side. They're all, you know, they all vary, but they're all in character with the rest of the neighborhood. I think that's it. Does anyone have any questions?
Let me ask my colleagues if they've got any questions of the applicant or her architect. Mr. Brown,
I don't have any questions.
Mr. Conley.
Yeah, you know, I think one thing I wanted to start with is just making sure we have sort of a record of everything that's been submitted, because I don't think I received everything that we just reviewed here, and a lot of this was really helpful. So are all of the materials, Mr. Blute, is it Blute or Blood? How
Blute.
Blute, Mr. Blute. Are all of these materials on file with the town?
Yeah, so this everything there, all the architectural drawings are one PDF, and that was uploaded.
Okay.
The survey, Kasia, the survey was uploaded, right? Yeah. So
Yeah, I do think some of the architectural drawings you showed today are not towards
Are
the
not?
end, but the bulk of the I just tried to scroll through your screen. We did submit the architectural drawings, but there were a couple that you showed today that were if you go down, I could tell you which ones.
Okay, yeah.
So the
So
majority, yes, but that's included. That's
That's
included.
okay. Let me, we've seen them. We'll take
Mhm.
notice of them. Let me just ask you, consistent with Mr. Connolly's point, if you, Kasha, could make a point to submit those to Mr. Donnelly, and Mr. Donnelly will get them to us for the purposes of our deliberation, but we want to have them in the file for the record because we are relying on them, and we're relying on Mr. Blute's presentation. So go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, they're really helpful plans. The parcel set we had did help, give an understanding of what was proposed.
Yep.
But after we deliberate and sort of create a record and a decision on this, it's helpful to just be able to refer to all of the plans that comprise the project, so that we'd appreciate you submitting that. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't understand why it's a single
It's
PDF.
okay.
I don't understand why any pieces would be missing. I'd have to go back and look at it.
That's okay.
Yep.
We appreciate Mr. Rett's commitment to submitting them, following the hearing.
Oh, definitely. Yep.
That would be great. And then I also want to say that we did receive the context satellite map, and you referenced that. And I thought that was also sort of very helpful. We can comment on that in a bit. The other question I had is, I received in the materials the application from Mr. Rett, which had noted that it's supported by the neighbors, which is important in a project like this. And Mr. Rett, you mentioned you sort of recited a number of letters, but I don't think we've actually received those letters. And I don't know if Mr. Chair, if you received them, or Mike, if you received the letters. No. So maybe I wonder, would you mind so we can just would you mind just telling us the address and the name of the people who had written in support? And we can just take notes of that, and then we'll ask you again to submit them or resubmit. I'm sorry if they've gotten lost in the shuffle, but just so we can get it on the record here, who are the letters from?
Absolutely. I emailed them to Bill, and I'm happy to do so again. I have one from my
Can we
left
go to
side
the
of
plan? I'm sorry. Can you go to the site plan so that we'll have an orientation of where these people are in relation to your house?
the satellite maybe will be helpful.
Well, this one actually, the survey actually has their names on them. Oh, you think that one's better?
I'm 47 with the Boxton one. 57.
Which is this one?
Chris Ali wrote a letter in support. And then the other side, 37, Catherine Lang wrote a letter of support. Kristen Angelone, who's 68, who actually was 37. She moved a couple houses down the street. So she's now 68, wrote a letter of support. So she's not shown here. She's one over. And then Mike Nolan, who's 67. So 2 over.
Right
And then
there.
I've spoken extensively to 62. But just didn't have a chance to ask her to write a formal letter, but she verbally shared she was in support and didn't have any concerns.
What's her name?
She's the neighbor that I know her dog, and I talk to her often when I see her, and I can't think of her name right now. I can tell you her dog's name. She has a new puppy.
But just to have it right. So on Revere, you have both your right and left side neighbors, 37 and 57, who are in favor.
Yeah, as well as 67, Mike Nolan.
And 67, Mike Nolan. Okay. And then I see on the
Directly behind.
any of the Harold Street neighbors, have any of the Harold Street neighbors weighed in?
Verbally, all in support, not formally in a letter, no.
Okay. And your neighbor at 62, you've had a chance to discuss the project with?
Yes. offered plans. She didn't feel she needed those. We talked through what it would look like because she's most her house is directly behind
Yeah.
ours and our neighbors. Or our we share a fence. So yep, and so she had no concerns. We talked through it for a bit actually.
Okay.
Over the fence.
That's great. And then did anybody that you reviewed the project with or received notice express any concerns or have any objections when you were discussing your project with any of your neighbors?
No, all were very much in support, wish you luck. Sounds good kind of thing. No
Okay.
concerns. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. And will you, in addition to, and thank you, if these just are, if we're having you resubmit, we appreciate the courtesy of that, but could we ask you just to resubmit all of these letters that you received together with the plans?
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be great. And then I guess my last question is just to reaffirm the notes I'm taking from this satellite plan, which it was really helpful. And Mr. Blue, I think this was one of the points you just hammered was the request is to have relief that would be 14 feet, 6 inches from your rear line, which is consistent in fact, just even slightly less of a encroachment on the setback than your abutter at 37.
Yeah,
right?
I believe 14.9.
Yeah.
14.9.
Yes, but yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
14.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. And then significantly still more of a setback than your neighbor at, is it 35?
Yes.
And also comparable setback to your rear yard neighbor 62. And so I guess, Mr. Blue, would you say this is sort of consistent with the architecture and design of character of the neighborhood?
I do. So the one that's on the end, the 35, that's 9 feet, that's out of character with the neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's just someone got away with something. So
You would say
what we're talking about is actually a 2-story addition. So these other additions, with the exception of 9, I believe all the rest of them are 1-story additions.
Okay.
And other than that, it's we're in terms of dimension off the back property line. You're exactly right. There's a variety of different distances, and it's in character with the rest of the neighborhood.
Okay, that's great. All right, thank you very much. That was really helpful. That's all for questions from me, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Can I get a sense? I know that the applicant indicated that she's expecting, and that puts her on a schedule to get this work done. What's your estimate of when these improvements would be constructed?
So I know there's a process, after this, my due date is November 2nd. Ideally, we're not excavating with a newborn. But things are in control and things are out of my control. So, but I have a contractor lined up who has shared that it would be about an 8-week project, and is on board with starting when we would be able to do so with a permit.
Okay. So
Yeah.
the design, so if you've got the contractor lined up, the drawings we've seen today either complete or very near complete, and therefore you can represent to us that the improvements will be constructed substantially as shown on these drawings. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any further questions. Any further questions of the members of the panel?
Not for me.
Okay, maybe we could stop sharing the screen, and we're going to
Sure.
open this hearing to members of the audience who might like to be heard. Can I ask if there's anybody who'd like to speak in support of the application? Bill?
No hands. We don't have any other attendees right now.
Okay. How about if there's anybody who'd like to speak in opposition to the application?
It would appear not.
Hearing none. I'd like to close the evidentiary portion of the hearing and, in accordance with the Commonwealth's open meeting law, debate the merits of the application in open session right now. I'll turn to my colleagues if they'd like to be heard. Mr. Brown.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I would be in favor of this application. I think that it's a good plan. I think it's keeping within character of the neighborhood. The other surrounding properties appear to have similar setbacks. I would just request that we confirm that the record is complete. It sounds like it is, but we can just make sure that it is. That being the case, I would support the application.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Conley?
Yes, I also support the application for all the same reasons that Mr. Brown just stated. I think it's a great improvement to the home, to the property, and consistent with the character of the neighborhood. And happy to have on the record that Mr. Rett worked to discuss it with the neighbors, and we have support, and we have no opposition. So I support the project and the application.
I agree with my colleagues. I'm prepared to support a special permit, specifically making a finding that the proposed change is not more detrimental to the neighborhood than what currently exists, which is the standard that we're under and really what we're about. I want to thank the applicant for a thoughtful presentation and Mr. Blute for his contributions and for the work that he's done. I think it's a modest, tasteful improvement that's consistent with the Revere Street environment. And I was happy to have an opportunity to take a look at it closely. So thank you for all of that. Let me ask my colleagues if everyone formally supports the special permit that that I just outlined, along with the accompanying finding.
Yes, I
Say
do.
aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
All right. So you've been granted a special permit by the Board of Appeals. So, did you have a question, Mr. Blue?
No, I was just going to say thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So dramatic, Still anxious, right? I don't want to get the applicant nervous. I know it's important time, so relax. Please relax, okay? The process is the board will write the decision. It won't take long. We'll file that with Mr. Donnelly at the town hall. He'll file it with the clerk. There's a 20-day appeal period. Following the end of the appeal period, we'll provide you with the special permit. You'll want to record that at the registry in Norfolk, at the Dedham County Registry of Deeds, and you'll have your special permit. And you'll be able to seek and obtain your building permit, and hopefully it'll be done all in time for you to welcome your growing family. So we congratulate you on both your special permit and on your growing family, and wish you the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Hey,
Fuck.
Thank you.
fantastic.
Any further business? Unless there's further business of the Board of Appeals, I'd like to vote to adjourn this meeting, and we'll reconvene at the next scheduled meeting of the Board of Appeals.
Mr. Chair, I'll offer to draft this decision for the board.
Thank you, Mr. Conley.
Great.
Have a good evening, all.
Great. Thank
Board
you.
is adjourned.
Thank
Good
you.
night now. See you, Bill.